Welcome to another invigorating episode of The Legal Brief. And guess what? I'm your host, Krista Mason-Smith, Managing Partner at Muriel DeSeal & Co. Now today, I have two amazing guests for you to gain a wealth of knowledge from on our topic today. In our presence today, it is my pleasure to introduce Muriel DeSeal KC, who is Principal and Senior Partner at Muriel DeSeal & Co. Next, I have the beautiful Candy Gibson, who is well known to our communities as the founder of Foam Bahamas. Welcome. Thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeSeal, my first question. Now, you have operated a very successful practice in the Bahamas. And amongst your various other achievements locally and abroad, one of which is sitting as a justice in the Court of Appeal of Belize. In your professional opinion, do you think judges in this jurisdiction are too lenient with the grant of bail? Why or why not? Our viewers want to know.
I wouldn't say that. You see, each case has to be dealt with on its own merits. If you have somebody who comes before you, and I would say it depends on the type of offenses. For rudimentary offense, such as armed robbery and so on, if a fellow comes before you, comes before a judge, and he has no previous convictions, there's nothing known about him, there's nothing wrong with granting him bail. On the other hand, if a fellow is charged with murder, again, it's no different from any other offense. You have to give it some thought before he could be granted bail. But in the circumstances, bail should not be withheld because he's charged for murder, per se. Now, if he is a person who has been charged with 2 murders or 3 murders, then, of course, nothing will be wrong with the judge withholding bail from him. Because, one, the judge has a duty to protect society. You're not saying that he's guilty, because he is, by virtue of being charged, he's still presumed innocent until proven guilty. But the judge has to balance the scales at this time as to whether to grant him bail or not. So, all things considered, bail should not be withheld because a man has been charged with an offense. Because remember, it's a charge. He's just merely charged. He's not convicted. So, in the circumstances, then, the judge will have to think about it, balance the case, and he could be granted bail in the circumstances where he has just been charged for an offense. He has no previous conviction. He has an unblemished record.
Well, I think a lot of times the public has a difficulty with the grant of bail to anyone who is charged with murder just because of the heinous nature that is often portrayed in the media. And as a follow-up question to what I've asked you, Mr. DeSeal, I would like to now turn to the beautiful Candy Gibson, who is known for doing quite a bit of community work, um, being first on the scene when a lot of unfortunate, untimely incidents occur. So I want to ask her, and I'll just phrase it a little succinct, more succinct for you. Having had these gruesome upfront experiences, being first on the scene when untimely deaths occur, what would you say to the average person or victim's loved one who maintains that the court system should lock them all up and throw away the key, no bail for murder? What would you say to those persons?
First of all, I want to say when I started form out of being bitter, ignorant, and not knowledgeable. And to my knowledge, and far as I thought, a murderer is somebody who was just hauled before the court, charged, hauled before the court, and sentenced and remanded. Throughout my time of doing form, a murderer is someone convicted. So a person charged does not make them a criminal, does not make them murder. So I would share the same sentiments as Mr. Seal, as when he said as the granting of bail, that's the magistrate or judge's discretion. And each case has its own merit.
But I mean, I'm sure you're faced with persons in the moment.
Yes.
And they say to you,
yeah, they say, oh, lock him up.
Tell me what they say,
we
yeah.
want justice for this person. Oh, lock him up. Oh, he shouldn't have been given bail.
Yeah.
This is already on bail for 2 murders. And that could be true.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, a man is innocent until proven guilty. And then I've been on both sides of the fence. I know what it's like to have loved ones arrested and so forth and fight hard and even sign their bail. And I know what it's like for them to get murdered. I myself was arrested, and to be honest with you, that's not a good feeling. And so when people say freedom is a must, I understand that from both angles, because I'll have mothers come to me today, or I'll reach out to them, their son or someone, their family member would get murdered today. And I go there to comfort them and help them with the grieving process. And then months later, their next son or their next family member is looking for murder. I can't show no difference. Feeling is feeling, we all are human.
Yes.
So I can't say, oh, well, that's good for him. Or I can't go over that. You understand me? So I share the same sentiments with Mr. DeSale.
So do you find your role in form to be more of a comforting one?
I find my role in form is to wear many hats. But it's to give persons hope, regardless of whatever situation they're in, because like I often said, any one of us could be arrested. Once the police have information or feel that you're involved in something, you can be brought into custody. You understand me? So my role is to give hope to the victim's family. Saturday, it was a situation where I had to act as the mediator between the perpetrator and the victim's family. And I had to bring them close because there was a little child involved.
Now, you use the word perpetrator. Would you mean alleged perpetrator?
Well, it would have been perpetrator because, I know you would have been aware of the situation heavily. Probably situation with baby daddy, that he would eventually turn
a little.
Yeah. So therefore,
so
a child was in the midst. So I had to be the mediator because it was both grannies now left with nobody but the child. And we raising a king.
Yeah, of course.
So we had to come.
No matter the circumstances, we raise kings.
We raise kings, yes.
That's right. Thank you. I think that was very informative. Mr. DeSeal, having listened to Candy, Miss Gibson, to be formal, having listened to her, if you are approached by someone who is a victim of crime or an alleged victim, the lawyer in me always is going to come out and say alleged. What advice or what would you say to them if they say to you, listen, Mr. DeSeal, they shouldn't be getting no bail for no murder? What would be your response in that moment?
Well, my response would be the same. as I've said before, that, until the person has been given a trial and has been convicted, the presumption of innocence still stands. So therefore, one could sympathize and empathize with someone who is a victim, but that does not mean that I throw off my hat as a lawyer and say and join with the victim, because I will sympathize, but that's the extent to which it will go. Sad as it may be, you still do not know whether, in fact, that person who is accused, who is accused is a person who did the act.
So cool. And I think to chime in to what both of you have contributed here today, anyone could sit in that seat.
Yes.
And I think Ms. Gibson has made that absolutely clear. No matter your color, creed, race, we are not exempt from the law, rightly or wrongly so.
Yes.
And so I think that your contributions are valuable to this topic today.
Yes.
I mean, this conversation here today is so good and informative for the public, and I can't wait for us to continue it after the break. So we'll be back after these messages from our sponsors.
Hey, what's up, Mario?
Hey, Dale, what's going on?
Have you seen ZNS new digital platforms?
No, let me go check it out.
Good day, Bahamas. I'm Devontae Hanna, and this is ZNS Digital,
where we cater to your news and entertainment needs.
Are you a foodie? I thought so. Then look out for Digital Bites.
Shining a light on Bahamians and the good that they do, ZNS Digital is home to the sunshine room.
Keeping up with the latest trends, our original content will keep you entertained.
Yeah, that's cool.
But have you seen the new website?
No, I didn't see it. Let me go look.
We're still your most trusted source for news and information.
That's ZNS Digital?
Yeah, that's ZNS Digital, the people station in your pocket.
Clint Watson has been the trusted voice of journalism for over 2 decades. He is your first choice for hard-hitting discussions, your best choice for current affairs issues and investigative journalism. It's time to start the journey of relentless journalism. It's time to start the journey of facts over fiction. It's time for the Rundown with Clint Watson here on ZNS, where only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned in. If you missed it, I'm in studio with Muriel Ducille KC, prominent attorney in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and Mrs. Candy Gibson, founder of Foam Bahamas. And we're continuing our conversation on bail and its implications in the Bahamas. And in fact, the next question I'm going to start with Mr. Ducille KC, was actually the root of the topic for today's recording session. And I think we're all aware of a certain comment or question initiated by the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, where he boldly asked at a CARICOM meeting in the presence of our very own PM, the Right Honorable Philip Brave Davis, whether Bahamian judges live on Mars. As I understand it, he criticized our judges for granting bail to anyone who has been accused of murder. And I quote what he actually said. He said, How could you go and give somebody who is charged with murder bail? Let's be serious. Where do those judges live? On Mars? Now, for me, especially given my very own legal training, I found his question to be, respectfully, out of order and misguiding or misguided. So, Mr. DeSille, I want to ask, what are your views on his question? My own views aside, and despite the manner in which it was delivered, is it in any way a fair inquiry of our system?
Well, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, who is a lawyer, happens to be a politician. So he must have been wearing his political hat when he was speaking to the public, and he relinquished the fact that he was legally trained. I heard the statement when he made it, and I was quite appalled.
Same.
When I heard it, because he should have said nothing at all. But to have come out and sought to criticize the judges in the Bahamas, I think he was out of order in making that statement. Because what it means, what he's saying, is that the judges should close their eyes and just lock everybody up who's been charged with murder, irrespective of who it is. There are degrees of persons who come before a judge for bail. The judge does not only have to look to the offense, but must look to the offender. You may have a fellow who is 16, 17, never been convicted for any offense before, and what the judge should do? Tell him that bail is denied, or by the same token, the same individual, 16 or 17, may have had an antecedent of more than one murder, in which case the judge would be quite justified in telling him to cool out. Just cool out and
take a little chill pill.
Fox Sailor for a little while. But to make a blanket statement like that, I think he was very irresponsible.
Yeah, I must agree, and I know my role here today is not the same as my guest, but I must agree, and I believe that even the Chief Justice had to speak strongly, publicly, to defend our judiciary, because everyone who sits is well appointed and well deserving and operates in discretion, and I say that from my own experience. Whether you're with me or not on a particular matter, you have the greatest of respect. I have the greatest of respect for every member of the judiciary, and I must agree with you
because what one must remember is that Foxhill is a prison.
Yes,
and it is designed for persons who have been convicted and who have been sent there by judges to serve a sentence.
For punishment.
Yes.
For punishment.
Yes.
Yes. So we want to avoid persons being punished before their fate has been determined.
Precisely.
And I believe that's what I understand you to be saying.
Precisely.
You know, so Mr. Gibson, tell us, what were your thoughts when you heard this statement?
Well, I was watching it, and I think he probably meant because the fact that probably one person on bail for a few murders or whatever the case is, he probably trying to say that probably the judges maybe live on Mars, because how could you grant one person, and they're on bail for several murders? But even with that being said, a person is still innocent until proven guilty. And that's your constitutional rights, you understand me? And so I somewhat understand it, but I think that that's a statement should have kept itself and really dig further and see what's really going on. Because like Mr. DeSale say, a 16-year-old or 15-year-old committing a crime once, okay, gotta understand, okay, but like a few others, then you need to chill out. And not everybody commit a crime is a criminal, you know.
Tell us more why you say that.
I would say that because I would say that, you know, in 2015, I would have been arrested, me and my boyfriend, the late Roberto Barnaby. I can't even tell you as to why. All I know is we were arrested. I was arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. And even though we were released, it was 15 people, 14 guys. I'm the only female, and I got arrested because I asked the police, do you have a search warrant? Next thing I know, you won't get locked up. Next thing I know, in custody. But nevertheless, to God be the glory, I would have been released. And when I would have went back to CDU years later for a letter, the letter would state that this is to advise that sometime in August 2015, the subject was arrested along with her fiancé, who was suspected of murder. There was no evidence implicating her, and she was released without any charges. We forward this report for information. However, even though I was arrested and I was released, far as people concerned, I guilty.
The stigma.
The stigma. Even though this letter came and this letter was addressed to the U.S. Embassy, people's stigma about me is, oh, she's bad news, she's a criminal, she's a murderer, oh, she set up people. That is not true. The officers who were there could verify. I asked one question after I saw the officer throwing the stuff on the ground in my bed. Can I help with something? Oh, how come you won't get arrested? And I was arrested. You know, and then even with the judges too, even with the what is that extension? I feel too, like even when a police officer go before magistrate to get extension order, I don't know what they look at to hold the person, but I feel like even at that point, a magistrate should read over to see if there's evidence of why you want to have this person stay in the station longer. Why?
Well, I'm sure Mr. DeSale can chime in on that.
Well, that is different because that is at the investigative stage where you can be held.
Up to how much hours?
You can be held for, I think, 72 hours.
Yes, 2 days and then 3 days.
2 days plus 3 days.
Right.
24, then 72.
Right.
So you have to get an extension from the magistrate.
Yes.
So one could understand that. So whether a policeman wants to be errant, an errant policeman, he goes and he gets the extension. You can't say, but you have to say that he's acting in good faith and that the magistrate is acting in good faith when the extension is granted. But that has nothing to do with bail. That is when you are a suspect and you're held as a suspect at the police station, then of course, you know, one cannot really interfere with the police in the operations at that stage.
So I want to ask you really quickly before we go to the break. Do you really think, though, that 5 days, let's just use a 5-day time frame, is sufficient time for murders to be investigated? Or do you think the police should utilize the release pending further investigation option a little more? In your experience, Mr. Ducille?
Well,
Very quickly, very short answer.
well, well, the 5 days, the 5 days, I think it's enough. If you're held, the police would have sufficient evidence to charge you or not to charge you. So
they ought to.
Yes. So in that case, I think it's sufficient.
I think the crux of what you're saying is that we presume, or we would hope, that whatever they're doing is in good faith.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to stay tuned. We have to run to another commercial break. We'll be back.
Covering the news seems easy, but we put thought into what we're doing. The Bahamas Tonight Access Now, here to inform, educate, and entertain. A new type of newscast featuring social media trends, news from around the islands, interviews with the people you like, sports, weather, and fabulous entertainment. That's a Bahamas Tonight Access Now with Marcellus Hall and LaDon Davis. Live, starting September 16th.
Hey guys, welcome back. Krista Mason-Smith in studio with my two awesome guests, Muriel Ducille KC and Candy Gibson of Foam Bahamas. And we're going to just dive right into our next segment. And I'm going to switch it up a little bit and start with Miss Gibson. So, Miss Gibson, given what you witnessed on our streets with your very own eyes, do you think the grant of bail to or the withholding of bail from those accused of crime has any real life impact on the level of crime in this country? And explain that. So explain your answer.
I would want to say as it is wide, as it is long. You are persons who would go to prison to ban there now. The prison is the streets too. Only difference is your fists and your jacka is your gun. All right?
Okay.
So therefore, we have violence in there too. You understand me?
Hey, you might gotta break that down.
Okay,
for the viewers.
We have people. I mean, you head up there.
What's a jacka?
A jacka is something they take with a toothbrush and take. You know, yeah, they jackas up there. And from you hit the prison, I was told, they ask you what gang you riding. Okay, so as we have gangs on the street, we have gangs up there too. Yeah. And let's say, for instance, now a young man goes to prison, he's innocent. You know, wrong place at the wrong time. However, the cat jumped, but he's innocent. He didn't know gang, but someone tried test him or play around him while he up there. Now he bred, you know, his schoolmate, who he know, a boy he know many years ago, who he was nice, or his mom is nice too. See that? He tell them, boy, I don't go like that, boy. Don't trouble that. You know, stand down, or whatever the case is. So even though he go up there innocently, you know, he ain't no gang. But the boy just give him a blight. So now, who you think he can side with? That's his protection now, because niggas from the ops try to play around him, and he brethren, he friend, he cousin, whoever, protect him while he was there. So now, that's, even though he gone there innocently, not no number, no gang, a part of no gang, he now is a part of the gang now to the ops. Okay, and so now his loyalty now is to these people. You understand me? Not even happen in case where a person go to jail and they family and taking care of them, whatever the case is. So a lot of people taking care of them. So that's who you with. Now you come on the road, you have a debt. You have a debt. You get bail, but even though you get bail, you happy to get bail because freedom is a must. Yes, that sounds good. And you know you're innocent and you just won't come and boy, I know I had to do with that murder. You want to be happy because as far as you're concerned, you know that wasn't your movie. You know that in you. You come on jail, but you know you come on bail. Hey, guess what? You have a debt in that jail. You have a debt before you win it, because far as a family concerned, the police hold him for 5 days. What they can hold him for 5 days, hold him for 5 days for? They hold him because that's them. It's been their case. So you come out innocent, innocently. You get killed. You have a debt in the street. You have a debt in the prison, and you have a debt out here. You understand me? So as it is wide, as it is long. Go in there and safe, and coming out here and safe.
Yes. I think that is a very valid point and a real point. And I mean, that actually took the question to another level. And I appreciate that, because we're here to inform our viewers. We're here to engage in meaningful conversation. We're just here to look beautiful, you know what I mean? And so I appreciate that response. And what I want to ask you then,
let's cut you off, right, sister? You remember during the lockdown, we had a lockdown, right? During COVID-19.
Yes.
And you remember the murders had stopped at one point, right?
It was calm.
After the lockdown,
the road
was
was
open. Everybody started dollar wine and going out and getting drunk. Then the murders started happening again. So everybody got careless, not thinking, and guess what? Put my name caught up in that. Someone said they weren't singing. So they started living careless, not knowing they guess what. And that's what happens. When people get bail and they come on the road, they forget they have a bill up there.
And based on what I was going to say, based on what you have said, I infer then that it may be wiser to grant bail, especially to persons who have no previous record, to avoid them. I don't want to use the phrase becoming criminals, but becoming, that's the word, Mr. Steele, becoming contaminated. Because, I think that even, and again, I'm not throwing myself into the role of guest, but I think we are all, everyone who sits at this table today is knowledgeable of the ins and outs of the system in the court, in the prison, and on, well, to use Ms. Gibson, on the road and the street, right? And so a lot of times the public doesn't appreciate that because they only look at it from one angle. And so, and not to put words in your mouth, are you saying or agreeing then that, sometimes bail is wiser?
And then too, and families have the not to be afraid that when they go and request bail, they speak with the attorney asking for bail, have the young individual probably relocate to a family island somewhere, because now it's only so big. And people need to understand too, not because you know for a fact you didn't commit that crime, families and friends only want someone to blame. You understand me? Once the police pull you in for...
It's emotional.
Yes. Once the police pull you in for murder, far to the streets and the family concerned, that one call you. So you can take this one for the team. And if you can't get this one for the team, we can send a message to your family member or your friend.
And that's unfortunate.
And it's unfortunate. And so even with the young man too, even though you're innocent, you understand me? And I know you're probably innocent. At the end, even when you relocate, stay off social media. No one need to see no picture you living your best life, you drinking Hennessy, you to a party. Stay off social media, out of sight, out of mind. Like I tell people, even Moses had to run in the Bible. There's nothing wrong with running. He who runs away live to see another day. You got to switch up. But these things, the person, they got something to prove, and I know you too. Being falsely accused too could turn into criminal too. Because far as you're concerned,
you hate the system.
Yeah, you hate the system. Guys, once you so man, she probably go buy a firearm to protect myself. Because I can't go to the police, niggas want to kill me. They ain't gonna understand me or respect me, because far as they're concerned, they don't put that word on me. How do I go back to them? So people don't understand, as it is wide, as it is long.
Well, I think a lot of that also comes with maturity and wisdom. You have to also remember, as I think Mr. Ducille spoke about earlier, you have young persons being charged with these offenses. So as far as they're concerned, I do nothing, why hide?
Yeah, they ain't.
So if they don't have someone to mold and shape them and say, listen, it's for your own good. They on social media posting with their Hennessy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that is an initiative that or something that your organization tackles. But
Well,
maybe we may need you too.
I talk about it, stay off social media, not to prove to nobody. He who runs away, let me see another day, I always talk about it because I see it,
Yes.
I see it so often. And two, I have a big issue too is, these senior man, them, you ought to live your time. You ought to live your time. Why you all think you need to have the need to go infiltrate these babies to the breast?
Yeah.
Infiltrate they brain, they can't find, they committing these crimes. And the young men don't understand. The street feeding you and they bleeding you. They buy, they give you money for this. You say you have a little 30-day supply, you have a little 30-day shop. But at the end of the day, how far that could take you?
Yeah.
Societal
issue, but and that's another show, viewers. that's another show for another time.
People just care for this one they broke. They only want to survive.
Okay. Well. I mean, I think if we keep on this topic, we'll be into another episode.
Yeah.
But I like where it's going, so we may have to have you back, Miss Gibson. So I'm gonna turn to Mr. Desir with another question. And I think I may know the answer to this, but was there ever a time that it almost seemed impossible to get a particular suspect bail in the courts? Tell us about it. And if yes, what do you think was the root cause for the repeated refusals of bail for that particular person?
Well, again, persons sometimes have a stigma attached. And the judges are like us. Blood flow through their veins.
Human.
Yes.
Yes.
And again, they may have been charged for more than one offense of murder. So taking them down for bail is like a futile exercise because you know what is going to be said. It has to reach a stage where they have been in custody for an inordinately long time. 3 years, 4 years, and no trial. Then you realize that it's important that at that stage they'll be granted bail.
In fact, I think you have preempted another question that I'm going to ask of you in another segment. But carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt your
Yes.
answer.
I'm finished. I'm finished.
So I suppose then your answer is yes. You have seen a situation where this particular person was repeatedly refused bail. And just listening to you, what sort of conversation, if you could share with us, did you have with that individual? Where they're saying, Mr. Desir, the system against me.
Yeah.
Why are they doing this? Ain't no evidence in this. What was your response, or have you experienced that?
Well, sometimes you have to play the role of a sociologist also.
Yeah.
But not that of a lawyer. But you know what the circumstances are. And, it's one of those things that what can you do? But to tell the client to just chill out, cool out.
Yeah,
Cool out and let time run.
I totally knew you were gonna say that. Yeah, but it's real advice.
Yes.
I'm sorry to cut the conversation, but we have to run to another break. We'll be back after these messages.
We've come to appreciate the JBI product. Simply doesn't matter where they're staged or where they're located. We always realize that JBI has the best pricing and the best quality of food. In particular, my favorite is corned beef. I was a hometown boy. So if I can purchase anything, it can be this JBI corned beef straight through.
As you get a bit older, you become more discriminating and what you put in your bodies. And all of this is natural stuff. So I am happy to promote the Junkanoo Punch.
I actually compared it to a couple of brands, and this is the one of choice. This one, this the can't fail brand. So.
Fried JBI.
Happy 30th anniversary, JBI.
Happy 30th anniversary to JBI.
Thank you, Bahamas.
You're still with us. Welcome back. We're going to just dive right into our next segment, and I'm going to start this one off with a question to Mr. Ducille, KC. Now, Mr. Ducille, you've been practicing for many years. That is no indication of your age now, because you still look like a young boy. But have you found in more recent times that judges have been more inclined to grant bail for more serious offenses? If yes, what do you think has caused this shift? If no, just give us a little explanation.
No, definitely not. They have been so much heavily criticized by the public, by the politicians, that you find that cases where you would expect bail to be granted, it's not granted. So I think that has affected them. And plus also, there have been so many amendments to the Bail Act, which is indicative of the fact that something may have been wrong with the original Bail Act that has caused them to be sensitive to that. So I don't think that it has been easy for bail to be granted by them.
Okay. So, just hearing what you have said,
Yes.
even though your position seems to be that they may not be so inclined to do it, or it hasn't been easy for them to do, I'm sure you appreciate that there has been a plethora of new case law emanating from the Court of Appeal that somewhat, or not somewhat, that sought to guide the judiciary or be of more help to judges when determining or when a matter was before them for the determination of bail.
That is quite so.
Do you think those cases, in as much as it's still not an easy task, have caused the judges to greater appreciate the factors that must be considered before making a decision to grant or refuse?
Yeah, I agree. But some of them still hold on to it and say, look, you go to the Court of Appeal.
Yes. And do you have any thoughts on that? Oh, you're not touching that one?
No.
Okay. All right. I think you've answered.
Yeah.
And so I would move to Ms. Gibson. Now, you touched on this a little bit earlier. You have previously been falsely accused by police because of affiliation. All right. And in fact, you have been very open here. And prior to appearing here today, you've been very open with the public about some of your very personal life experiences in this regard. Can you share with us how these experiences have shaped your views about the legal processes in our country? And with that said, it's like a two-part question.
First of all,
what advice would you give to someone being accused of a crime they didn't commit? But you answer the first part first.
First of all, I could be real, you know. I was a street lady, you know.
Oh Lord, yes, Kathy.
You know, you're a fast gal, they
Oh,
say, you know.
right.
You know. And so, you know, you made it.
People say thank God for Jesus.
Yes, that's right. So you made it
Right.
my whole life, I've dated street guys, thug guys. You know, if you wasn't known to the police, I don't want to know you. So if you wasn't locked up or charged for this crime or that crime, we couldn't jail. You know. However, 2015, I would have been falsely arrested. 15 persons locked up, 14 guys. The girlfriend of one of the guys, so 15 of us. Hold for 5 days, you know, and I was released without being charged. Like I said in the letter earlier, my fiance was suspected of murder, and that's how I get brought in. And even though I would have gotten a letter from the U.S. Embassy, gotten a letter that was addressed to the U.S. Embassy stating that I was arrested along with my boyfriend, who was in question for murder, and there was no evidence implicating me. And even though my police record says this certified that above named individual has not been convicted of any criminal offenses in the Commonwealth of Bahamas, that still don't stops people from thinking negative of me. People think, oh, she's a murderer, she's bad news. Oh, she had a man killed, oh, she set him up. There's no truth to that. You know, and I tell people, if I am this so messed up person, how come you still living? You making all these accusations against me. If I am such a bad person, how come you still living? You understand me? And it's not a good feeling, because when I would have gotten arrested, I was signing off on a major sponsor. You hear me? And the lady who connected me with the sponsor was someone I knew a long time. And when I got released, and I told the officer, I said, officer, I'm just about to sign off on a major sponsor. It's a breakthrough right now. Phone been looking for my left patella. I said, this right here ain't gonna be a good luck on me, man. I ain't get this. This one's gonna leave me. And twice, one is two. The friend I had back who assisted me in getting connected to get a sponsor, she turned her back on me. And the sponsor walked away. And I told her, I said, man, the form is my bread and butter. We live on sponsors and donation and partnerships. So if you all bring me here and talk about conspiracy to commit murder, this doesn't look good. It's not a good reflection on me. You understand me? And I got released, and I lost a lot of my sponsors. Some people unfriend me off Facebook. People stopped speaking to me, you know.
How did that make you feel? I mean, did that change how you felt about the police, about the court?
It changed me a lot, you know, because I now look at things differently now. Like, my mindset is now different now. I know that anyone could get locked up, and whether you're guilty or not, if they feel a certain way, they could bring you in. And then too, if you affiliate yourself with somebody who was known to the police, not only you put yourself in harm's way of being arrested, you could even be killed. You understand me? And that with me losing sponsors, you know, and at that time, upon my release, the officer said, but can't they? So what you say? What you say, Sarge? Be careful. I said, what happened? He said, by here, 60 grand hit on you and your boyfriend head. I said, what? For what? We ain't do nothing. What you talking about? He said, but can't boy, be careful, boy. All right.
And I mean, people have these conversations casually.
You understand me? And that time,
as if you're talking about.
And you know, boy, and you know, the saddest part about it is, you know, like, after someone get killed, the police come on TV and they ask for information. But before my boyfriend got killed, I was warned by the police that he would have been killed. You understand me?
So they had intel.
You understand me? And so they brought me to...
And so they had intel, so they must know it wasn't you.
And I had intel too, you know. They brought me and they tried to tell me where the hit coming from. And I say, yo, I lied. The hit didn't come from there. I could tell you where the hit coming from. I said, because my ass to the ground. I said, let me tell you something here. Niggas on this road raped me, yeah? They raped me or whatever the case is. And so with that being said, 2 weeks later, they told me not to go to the media. And they told me not to tell my boyfriend at the time. And, you know, I was trying to listen to the order of the police. I was scared. 2 weeks upon me being brought up for question, because after we got released, they called me and tell me that he would be killed. I'm still in my Jeep, and I'm still in my car. And I was like, officer, I said, y'all get him off the island, please. I said, because even though he's on bail for murder, a man still have rights to live. You understand me? But far as they concerned, you're on bail for murder, and whatever happens, happen. They promised they was going to get me off the island, but they wasn't going to get him because he on bail. But cut the story short, at the end of the day, Pete, I had to find myself going to one of his family members and say, hey, I hadn't do with so-and-so murder, you know. And the person's like, Candy, you know you didn't do the murder. We know for a fact you didn't do the murder. But at the end of the day, that stigma is still on me. Number one, when the police lock up, they put your family in danger. You understand?
So what I'm asking, did this make you bitter towards the police?
Yeah, when yes, I was very bitter. I ain't gonna lie, I was very, very bitter. And when I wrote a book called Still I Rise. And that book talk about the way they treated me, and the book, where I wrote the book and being bitter and anger, I would share the book with people who go and stuff, let them know, hey, there's hope. If I can go through, I still here pushing, you go through. But
I gotta tell the viewers where they can find this book, Mom.
Yeah, but I wouldn't tell them, I would be real with you. I don't sell the book no more because it don't give the country a good publicity. Like it talks about the corruption of what really goes on, and if persons want you there, from my vantage, it'll talk about corruption. The person wants you there, you could actually be killed in this country. And you know, so just by your name being associated with someone, but especially a gang member murder.
I think that's common knowledge. I think the public is coming to appreciate that, you know, you have to be so careful because from someone labels you.
That's it, and that's all.
You know, that's it.
That's all. I tell you.
I mean, it's no laughing matter, but the phrase is very appropriate.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking you is, what advice would you give to someone who finds themselves in a similar position, who is accused of something, and they say, "Nay,
upon your release, leave town."
Okay, all right. So real quick before the break, let me jump to, well, Mr. Ducille. In your legal opinion, or in your non-legal opinion, I should probably be the better way to say it. Do you think bail should be denied to a person for their own safety?
Well, the way things are going now, you don't know exactly what is happening. And this is why, and coming to think about what Candy had said earlier, fellows been charged, not previously being charged, totally untarnished before, and not being granted bail, and then sent to Fox Hill, where they become tarnished. Poses a problem. Now, it is a truism that a lot of fellows who have been on bail have met their demise. So sometimes, it's a balancing act which the judges have to perform now.
Yes.
In considering the grant of bail. So you can't argue about that.
I thank you for your comments here this evening. Also, Ms. Gibson, I think that everyone should be glued to the TV set because sometimes the public doesn't get to hear this side of it.
No.
And so, public, stay tuned. We're going to head to another commercial break and we'll be back after these messages.
Clint Watson has been the trusted voice of journalism for over 2 decades. He is your first choice for hard-hitting discussions, your best choice for current affairs issues and investigative journalism. It's time to start the journey of relentless journalism. It's time to start the journey of facts over fiction. It's time for the Rundown with Clint Watson here on ZNS, where only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Welcome back. Well, we've certainly had a full evening and we're about to close out the show. So this is our last segment. And I want to close out by asking each of you these final questions. Real quick. While we know that the magistrate's court is a man's first encounter with the court after being charged with an offense, the magistrate is unable to grant bail for all offenses. Mr. Lucio, what are your views on changing the law to allow magistrates to grant bail for all offenses, even those described as most serious?
Well, I would not say all offenses. I would say offenses excepting murder and treason.
That's a good spin, right?
You know, armed robbery and so on. Why clog the Supreme Court with all these matters for the magistrate? You have to trust the magistrates. You know, I would say it should be opened to the magistrates to grant bail in every other offense other than murder and treason.
Is there any particular reason you
want
to avoid murder and treason?
Yes. Murder,
Really quick.
Murder and treason are offenses which are considered most heinous. And to entrust that to the lower judiciary, I would say, would be a little bit
a stretch.
Yes.
Yeah.
So therefore, I would say accepting those offenses.
Yes. I think that's a sound response.
Yes.
And my final question for the evening, Ms. Gibson. What more can we do as a community to help in the prevention of crime?
Well,
that's a toughie.
That's a tough one.
We need a quick.
I like I said, we need Jesus more now than ever. We need Jesus, We have to let these young men find church, find God, find, their spiritual belief right now, because absent from this body to be present with the Lord,
And so, God. And that,
only
there's
God.
no better
It's only
answer than
God.
that.
Because man know I've done. It's only God.
Yeah. Because I know there's been a lot of conversation about getting persons involved in community outreach programs.
Only God.
But however you want to cut that, it's still down to
God.
And
gotta put God first.
Spiritual.
Acknowledge Him,
Yeah. True. Well, lady and gent, this concludes our session here this evening. You have been remarkable. I'm sure that the public appreciates you and all you have shared. And I hope to see you again on another episode.
It is truly.
Pleasure.
It's truly has been inspirational.
Yes.
Yes.
So, viewers, I think that our guests have thoroughly answered our question, which formed the title of this episode. The question being, are judges really from Mars? No, they're not. We've learned a lot about stigmas. We've learned a lot about judges' discretion to grant bail and the factors that must be considered in so doing. We've learned about the need to protect young and those presumed innocent. And I could go on and on. And I believe that just as informative as this session has been for me as a person who practices criminal defense, it must have had the same impact on you and your households. So I can only thank you for tuning in and staying tuned in. And I hope to see you again on another episode of The Legal Brief, starring your host, or with your host, Krista Mason-Smith. Thank you so much.